I think that I just found the next Cathie Wood. For those of you who don't know who Cathie Woods is, let's go back in time to 2014 where she started the ARK Innovation ETF. Now let's move on into 2016. We have like a 26% drop in some time. But all the way through 2017, we get some nice gains over there. She got around an 87% return. Is she the next Warren Buff daddy? Buff mommy? Who knows? But after 3 years of opening her fund, she finally has a great year. In 2018, she gets a 3.58, and then 2019, 35%, another solid year, and then bam, here's the shocker, 152.52% in 2020. She is the best investor ever. No one can surpass her. Maybe she is the next buff mommy after all. So this all sounds really impressive until you just realize that the crux of her fund is just YOLOing into hype stocks or tech stocks. I'm pretty sure if you just YOLO'd random stocks and Wall Street bets during that time frame, you probably would have returned something similar because most of it is just around Tesla during that time. Still, gains are gains, respect is due, but let's take a look at the level 0 investor. The people who know nothing about stocks would say something like, wow, her fund is up so much, let me put money into that. I was hearing this from a ton of people that I know who just had absolutely zero experience in stocks. It's like a story that's too good to be true. There's this newcomer coming onto the scene and is absolutely destroying everyone. And she's very public about it too.
Are you an investor looking for long-term capital appreciation, but worried about the short-term volatility associated with innovative companies? Well, you're not alone. Many investors appear to be afraid of companies that offer newer, faster, cheaper, and creative products and services. Now you can avoid these innovative companies. How? Ask your advisor today if investing in a traditional broad-based index is right for you.
Let me put all my life savings into this because she literally is the next messiah. Negative 23.36 and then negative 66.99. It's almost comical at this point the way the numbers added up in 2022. For those people who say that life is not scripted, you need to show them this. So she's actually been underperforming the S&P 500, albeit it's just a very minor amount at this point. Along the way, she has increased her assets under management by a ton, peaking at around like 27 billion at some points. And when you're taking a 0.75% expense fee, that adds up in the year 2021 to 2022 to be around $150 million if she's at around 20 billion assets under management. All that for just YOLOing Tesla. At this point, you could just call me jealous of her because I can't do the same thing. But move over, we have a new contender, and that is going to be Beth Kindig from the IO Fund. So it sounds deceptive at first. You'll find out why in just a bit. But yes, just like Cathie Woods, she does tech stocks. Wow, an investor with higher returns than Wall Street's old boys club, audited portfolio, automated hedge, and free weekly analysis? What is there not to like so far? All right, let's see the pinned tweet. Is there room for one more in the old boys club? Stanley Druckenmiller, 4.61, Ray Dalio, 6.91, Bill Ackman, 9.44, but the IO fund at 15.5% annualized returns for the past 3 years. Wow, you are so incredible. No one has ever in the history of life ever outperformed 3 hedge fund managers in the past 3 years or any random 3-year period. No one's ever done that before. You are so special. Is investing a 3-year game? Maybe this game takes a little longer to play than just 3 simple years. And also it's a lot different managing multiple billions of dollars versus whatever their portfolio is. Let's try to find out how much they actually have. I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna be an optimist because I wanna get into her fund. She outperforms all the big hedge fund people that I read about. So clearly I should be learning from her instead of these 3 people. All right, let's see how to actually invest in her fund, the IO Fund. So I'm gonna head on over to the website. IO Fund is a top performing tech portfolio. They have free stock analysis, a blog, analysts, an about section, and a login and sign up page, but where's information on the actual fund? I want to actually invest in this. She's better than Ray Dalio. I want to learn her principles instead. Just kidding, you need to pay $74 per year to access their trades. But why would someone need to sell their trades if they're so good at investing? I'm starting to smell something a little funny. If you dive a little deeper into their pro deep dives, advanced market signals, and direct access, wow. Submit questions prior to a direct phone call where the IO Fund team will answer your questions. This level is for institutions, hedge fund owners, and other high net worth individuals only, all right? So don't even think about signing up for this one. Yeah, they don't actually have any institutional investors. If you are an institutional investor and you're relying on someone who posts a bunch of stuff on Twitter for your advice, you're probably just scamming all of your customers. And like, come on, you have to know someone who's like a little bit more competent than this, right? Like there's no way any hedge fund or any institutional investor is actually in this that's serious about their job. They might do it as a joke. Maybe they do it because they know her or something like that, but no one's actually taking this seriously, right? Okay, I'm being too mean. So let's look into the actual audit of their fund, because surely since they've been boasting about an audit, it should be pretty easily accessible, right? So I'm gonna go back to the homepage. Wow, 47% more and double the NASDAQ. All right, let's read the official announcement. It's official. Wow, it's from Business Wire, a Berkshire Hathaway company. Maybe she is gunning for Warren Buffett's job after all. All right, Control F, Audit. All right, these results were independently audited and proved the IO fund kept its momentum as a leader in forecasting tech growth stock. Let's keep looking. All right, our outperformance across 4 audits has resulted in exceptional cumulative returns for our sector. The IO fund hires an independent accounting firm to conduct its periodic audits. Who is the auditor? If you're so open about it, just tell us who it is, you know? It reviewed statements from January 21st through December 31st, and the company's brokerage and blockchain accounts found no discrepancies. But where is it? Wouldn't you want to post it if you're so open about it? Or at least name the company that did it? We gotta keep looking, I guess. Wow, how come this shows up on every single sus website, appeared in all these things? It's as if these things aren't even special anymore, which they aren't, because you just notice the pattern every single time. There is no comparable analysis on the market. Free newsletter with stock analysis. Join 30K plus investors with past stock coverage that included Nvidia at 130 and Bitcoin at 7,000. Wow. So if you actually invested at those prices, you wouldn't need to sell your trades for $7,000. You'd be on a beach somewhere just relaxing, or just minding your own business. A lot of big investors don't even want to deal with other people because it's just not even worth it. Even with other people's money, they don't even want to invest with other people's money, because at that point, when they grow to that size, they don't want more money because they've moved the markets too much. And they also just don't want to deal with people who are not aligned with their goals. So a lot of people, they just go off on their own after their like big hedge fund life or big fund life, whatever you want to call it. And they don't want to deal with any of that nonsense. So if you did have these at those prices, like congrats, good on you. But you wouldn't be selling courses if that was the case. I guarantee you. Also, at the end of the day, their overall returns apparently were 15.5% per year. Obviously, that's not as good as what is shown here, because I think both Nvidia and Bitcoin here are multiples of these prices, and you can't get there from 15%. So they held a lot of other garbage as well. It's not purely this, but yes, they probably mentioned them sometime, because who hasn't mentioned these two things? Everyone talks about Nvidia and Bitcoin and a bunch of other stuff. Like, one of them is bound to do well, so it's not that special that you list that there. I'm still looking for the audit though. I'm really trying to look long and hard for this. Isn't the whole point of an audit to show that you have nothing to hide? But it seems like they are pretty much hiding it. So I finally came across their official press release again, where they doubled the NASDAQ. Let's Control F audit again, and oh wow. A copy of the auditor's engagement letter, including verified procedures and the verified performance percentage, is shared with IO fund customers in the paywall article, 2022 Audited Returns. Become a member of the IO fund and learn more about it here. So essentially, if you want to find their audit, and they're such an open company, right? Because no company ever audits themselves, right? You have to actually like just pay to figure out or like to read it. That's absolute nonsense. Wouldn't they just make more money if they release the audit and then people could see it and then gain a ton of trust from new potential customers? No, they don't want to do that. If someone was actually 100% clean, they would literally just release the audit because they have nothing to hide. Or at least name the company that audits you. Like, obviously it's not going to be like PricewaterhouseCoopers or something like that. It's probably some like random company. At least that's what the vibes they're giving me are. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct, but if they were going to be proud of which company audited them, they would just list it and they wouldn't go through all this nonsense. So I actually figured out their marketing strategy. So they cater to 2 demographics. And the first one, pretty much anything works for them. It's a level 0 investor who will pretty much buy any course because they talk a lot about all the hottest stocks. They talk about technical trading as well. And pretty much someone who just has no experience, doesn't know anything, is completely new to stocks would be attracted to this fund because, wow, they beat a bunch of great investors. They beat this NASDAQ index. What's not to like about it? So they appeal to those people, but literally anyone can do that. So that's not enough. What they do, they also appeal to the level 1 investor who's a little cautious about things through the audit. But little do they know, if you don't actually read the audit, having an audit doesn't mean anything. So you have a bunch of people who just see, oh, hey, they had an audit. I trust them now. Let me go and sign up to find out what's going on. But the people who actually have brains don't sign up for these things. Like, name me one person, one great investor that like signed up for one of these courses. Because they just don't. But pretty much an audit kind of clears themselves of any notion of a scam, which a lot of people think these are. I'll still give them the benefit of the doubt though, if they can prove themselves later on. And I want to do it for free. But any scumbag who sells signals or trades or anything of that nature likely doesn't actually make money from their trade. They make money from their products of what they sell to people. Because if you actually made money the way that these people say they do, because not this person, but other people do this. They're like, yeah, just make 1% a day. You'd grow your account by more than 3,500% every single year. No one does this. So again, this person's not guilty of that, but I'm just trying to illustrate how like insane gains don't really add up in the long run. Not to mention the fact that it's way too much of a hassle to manage all these payments. Even if people are legitimately giving you $7,000 per year, if you're actually making a ton of money, that $7,000 per year from one customer doesn't actually mean anything. You'd rather just focus all your time on investing more and more and more because that's where your moneymaker is. In fact, with any signaling group, you'd actually be incentivized to give out all your signals for free because you just simply front run them instead. Like, it's actually like negative value to paywall all your stuff because if you are invested in stuff, like, you want more people buying into it. All right. I'm being too harsh to these people. Let's see what people are actually involved in this. We're gonna go to the LinkedIn, we're gonna go to people, and we're gonna see all the people that are involved in this project. So we have Beth Kindig herself. Let's check her out first. So obviously she's posting a bunch of stuff every day because like she is an influencer after all. Same stuff as before. Some random jobs, nothing like really that sticking out. No previous fund management or like investing experience, but that's okay. I do notice Buddhist studies, so I guess like everything she does is in the way of the Buddha. Let's not be so judgmental on people's past. Let's look at the next person. This is like the technical trader of the company. And yeah, apparently he owned a pizza joint for like quite a bit. Regional director at First Trust, which is an asset management company, and then Pacer ETF, so sold some ETFs because it was a sales representative and then became regional director. All right, a little bit better, nothing too convincing yet, but here's where it gets a bit interesting. So if we click on this person, we see contributing author to Seeking Alpha. And then we look at the other person, we see freelance investment writer at Motley Fool. In case you all didn't know, like these two sites are like 99.9999% garbage. You might find some gems in there every now and then, but like no one serious actually uses these sites. It's all the like novices that go there and like they're like, oh, I think I'm more advanced or more sophisticated than the people who read mainstream newspapers because I go to a dedicated investing website. It's just random people writing articles. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's the same thing as like a Medium, for example. It's not anything like that special. It's mostly just random dudes. I'm probably being too mean now, but like, great investors don't document their process. You're not going to see a live stream of some great investor like doing their whole process or like a live stream of someone trading that actively that does extremely well. Like no one does that, you know, like Jim Simons, I'm cool with him like that, so I get to call him Jim. There's so much secrecy around his company that like no one can ever discuss anything that's done with like his main fund. Warren Buffett, he's not live streaming his like newspaper reading or whatever he does. I'd be hard pressed if you could find me anyone with, let's say like 100 million or more assets under management that live streams what they do. At 100 million isn't even that much in the grand scheme of things when it comes to this type of business. But that's my challenge to you. I'm making it very easy for you. Try to find me someone that actually does this. All jokes aside, like maybe you can make money from following this. Maybe you lose some money. Who really knows? But if anyone's actually good at trading or investing, they don't just like paywall their stuff. Like if you think of all the great investors, most of them like tell a lot of stuff and they're like a pretty open book about a lot of things, but they don't let you in on like the live stream or anything like that. Warren Buffett doesn't have a Signal group or like Telegram group that he's like DMing everyone, I'm about to buy like a little bit more of Coca-Cola or something. Like that doesn't happen, right? You know the reason why it doesn't happen? Because again, it's more trouble than it's worth if you're actually making money from all this stuff. Because anyone worth their salt doesn't engage in peasant nonsense. All in all, I'm not trying to like actually personally attack these people. Maybe they're wonderful people, but I smell a lot of stuff. If you're selling courses, you immediately alert the radar and mention audit as many times as you want. If you don't actually release it publicly without being behind the paywall, it doesn't actually mean anything. Again, if you are legitimate, you would have no issue just releasing it to the public, so please just do that. At least mention who the auditor is, right? Again, maybe they are honest people, maybe they are very genuine, but there are drug dealers that are honest and genuine too, right? So at the end of the day, they're still trying to sell like a signal group, and there's no actual fund. They just tell you something to buy whenever they post an update. Like there's no actual fund if you haven't figured that out yet. It's like, you can check the SEC, you can check all those other databases, like, yeah, those funds are only for people who take outside money. So they probably have some personal fund that they might use. I don't really know. But a lot of times you could even go past these auditing things by opening up like 10 different accounts and then doing a bunch of YOLO plays on each of them. Some of them even like opposite of what the other one does, so that one of them is guaranteed to do well. And then you just pick the one that does well. A lot of people do that too. There are a lot of different strategies to kind of trick people. Even like the level 2, 3 investors, they get tricked by this. But as long as you keep moving up the levels of not being an idiot, you don't really fall for any of these tricks. I think we did find the next Cathie Woods though, because I don't think Cathie Woods is any bit extraordinary by any means. I think she's actually like super ordinary. But you know what? If you're able to market yourself and make a ton of money, it's better than what I can do, you know? So I guess I have something called like principles. Maybe you should actually like read Ray Dalio's book instead of just quoting that you beat him in the recent 3 years.